Welcome to today's channel, Hot Clashes. Hundreds of enemies surrendered. Israeli army captures enemy senior commander in Gaza. The Israeli Defense Forces published an article saying that the troops of the Yahalom unit of the Combat Engineering Corps found the senior commanders of Hamas in a house in the north of Gaza, and heroically fought to neutralize them. Our team has investigated all the developments of this day, and shares them with you in an impartial manner with all the details. Speaking at the Nahal Brigade candle lighting ceremony, Chief of Staff Ari Halvi stated that Hamas has collapsed and surrenders have begun, and reiterated that they are very close to victory. He said that they will not stop until they collapse this system. Another development shows that the troops of the 9001 Battalion of the Nahal Infantry Brigade are fighting Hamas militants in the north of Gaza, explaining that street clashes are continuing. All possible measures have been taken and are progressing step by step. The IDF stated that they captured dozens of RPGs and neutralized Hamas militants. Armored Corps units working with the Paratroopers Brigade found and destroyed a tunnel shaft in Shea, which the IDF said was part of an extensive tunnel network. Another tunnel shaft in the air are contained a lift. According to the IDF said that Galani Brigade troops detected a number of Hamas operatives with anti-tank missiles approaching them in Shea. It was also reported today that Hamas tunnel ships and ammunition depot were destroyed. Israeli forces have begun a two-pronged ground assault operation and performed surprise nighttime raids. These activities have resulted in the destruction of the resistance's defenses in the West Bank in Gaza, which has enabled the Israeli Defense Forces to locate the primary factories of the terrorist organization in those areas. The Israeli Defense Forces have discovered that certain terrorist training camps have been responsible for the production of a greater quantity of armaments, missiles, explosives, and other types of military hardware than any other area since the beginning of the conflict. In the first place, we will talk about how Israel's ground defensive in Gaza, which started in the north and ended in the south, unexpectedly penetrated Hamas's most major terror source. The ground offensive operations that Israel conducted in southern Gaza caught Hamas off guard, resulting in an unexpected siege being imposed on the organization. The settlement was located in the northern region of the Gaza Strip, not far from Jabalia. Soldiers from the Israel Defense Forces IDF, with the assistance of Israel's domestic intelligence agency Shin, were successful in seizing key data in northern Gaza, which is the primary missile production facility for Hamas. The response of the 460th Armored Brigade and the 50th Battalion of the Nahal Brigade consisted of encircling the largest missile production complex in the region with main battle tanks and armored vehicles. From the northern part of Gaza, they advanced in close proximity to a medical center and a university. This particular establishment was situated. The fact that Hamas has converted residential houses into a base of operations in order to finance its terrorist operations is not something that should come as quite a surprise. Furthermore, it has come to light that this large compound located in the northern part of Gaza serves as a significant supply for the terrorist group's efforts to prolong the fight. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF acquired the coordinates of the plant and initiated operations in Gaza to seize the largest industrial complex owned by the terrorist group with the highest capacity. The Israeli Defense Forces have carried out their most significant operation since the truce was brought into effect by attacking the industrial site as part of their efforts to capture control of this key missile manufacturing complex. Soldiers from the Nahal Brigade and the 460th Armored Brigade engaged in violent confrontations with terrorists affiliated with Hamas that lasted for many hours. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF were successful in driving the terrorists away from the area where the intensive fighting was taking place, and they went on to seize control of the compound. Beginning with a cautious push, the Israeli Defense Forces IDF made their way into the complex. For the very first time, the initial images taken from the largest weapons and missile production facility ever seen made an astounding impression on the agenda. Soldiers from the 460th Armored Brigade and the Nahal Brigade were responsible for removing J-90 and M75 missiles from the site belonging to the terrorist network. The Israeli Defense Forces took a large number of these rockets into custody and returned them to Israel for further investigation. The primary missile factory of Hamas made public a variety of equally alarming weapons in addition to drones and grenades. The Israeli Defense Forces were able to confiscate a large number of weapons of mass destruction, including hundreds of RPGs, dozens of anti-tank missiles, explosives, long-range rockets, and drones. The 460th Armored Brigade and the Nahal Brigade contributed some of this ammunition to Israel for research purposes, while destroying the remaining ammunition. The Israeli Defense Forces IDF achieved a significant success by destroying the massive missile facility belonging to the terrorist organization. As a result of Hamas's loss off this weapons production site, the Israeli Defense Forces are currently beginning a ground assault from both the north and the south of Gaza. This puts Hamas in a precarious situation despite the fact that Hamas was in a dire need for military weapons. This operation was not the only one that they were operating. We had previously reported that Israeli troops had carried out a historic operation on the facilities in northern Gaza and the West Bank that were utilized by Hamas for the production of weapons and bombs the Israeli Defense Forces targeted. The town of Jenin, located to the north of Nablus. During this particular assault, Israeli Defense Forces discovered the largest bomb-making facility belonging to the terrorist organization. Here it is one of the most significant terrorist hotbeds for Hamas after Gaza. After they had obtained the information, Israeli forces assaulted the town of Jenin, which is located to the north of Nablus, in the middle of the night. As a result of their overwhelming numbers, Israeli special forces and brigadiers were able to surprise the terrorist organization. During this important raid, reservists from the Minik Regional Brigade, the Dov Divin Unit LAR, and the border police carried out a nighttime operation in the refugee camp of Jenin, located in the West Bank, as reported by the Israeli Defense Forces (IDF). Following the completion of this vital operation, the Israeli Defense Forces discovered 2 underground shafts, in addition to 3 bomb-making laboratories. The tube shafts connect to underground passageways that stretch to villages near the Israeli border. By blocking off these underground exits, the Israeli Defense Forces were able to terminate the supply chain that the terrorist organization was using. This operation stands out due to the fact that the Israeli Defense Forces (IDF) were able to confiscate 3 bomb manufacturing facilities that belonged to the terrorist group. In Jenin, the terrorist organization Hamas financed Israel's civilian attacks using the money gained from these establishments to fuel its own attacks. Israeli authorities discovered shocking information during the raids conducted on the terrorists' residences and factories. These terror areas housed a significant quantity of weapons and missiles in the bomb-making labs. There is a widespread belief that the Israeli Defense Forces have taken control of all of these terror areas. Following the capture of these sources, Hamas was unable to carry out an assault against Israel that targeted civilians. The Israeli Defense Forces have successfully eliminated a severe threat, while the Israeli Defense Forces (IDF) were moving some of the weapons and military hardware discovered in the bomb factories to Israel for further examination. They also destroyed some of the weapons and material by simultaneously seizing a number of Hamas production hubs for weapons. The Israeli force has elevated the fight to a new level of intensity. There is no longer any possibility that terrorists will be able to exert their influence in either the northern or southern regions of the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, or Jerusalem. As a result, the Israeli Defense Forces are able to extend the territory of their counter-terrorism operations even further as a result of Israel's decision to expand the scope of its ground defensive operations. Officials from the United States have expressed their disapproval. The authorities in the United States of America have stated that Israel will complete its primary military operations by the end of the year, or at the very latest by the end of January 2017. In the meantime, security analyst Zoran Cusack asserts that Israel's objective in the Gaza Strip is to partition Khan Younis into 3 separate independent areas. As far as Cusack is concerned, the war against Hamas has not yet taken shape. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.